What we're going to do is make the little sleeveless top part, and the first thing we need to do is just cut off the seam here. So only like right outside of where the sewed seam is, I'm just going to cut off. So we're going to use these parts because this is going to be our little tie for the top. And actually what I did was, this is the part where I did it just one at a time. I cut off just this collar part. I first made like a little snip here so that I could just get my scissors inside, and then just like as close to the sewed seam as possible, I just cut the collar off. You're going to use these little circles here. The next part is to make the little fluttery sleeves. So now I have it set so that I'm looking at it from like up top. So here's where the head is and here's where the sleeve is. And I'm just going to make one snip from where the seam ends to the side. So I'm just going to snip it down the middle here. Like right up to there, just like one line. Did you finish making those slices? Mm-hmm. Okay, here's the easy part. All that cutting's hard. Here's the easy part. Between where the neck hole is and the armhole is, and right there between where your little slit is, and you're just gonna tie it in like a cute or trendy knot. I don't usually do mine super tight, but like that right there, it should be tight enough. So you could, if you wanted to, you could keep it just like this, the t-shirt. Or what we might do is go on to the next step and tie the sides a little bit, just like so this is an option, you could just keep it like that if you wanted to. What I did was figure out this is the side, and then I'm going to cut like up to about there. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut little sides on either side so that I'll be able to have little like strips to be able to tie it together. Here's the trick part. So I'm going to make these little slices, but the first slice I'm going to make shorter than the other slices, and the reason I'm doing that is because if I made this slice too big, then there would be this weird gathering right here. So it's more subtle if I just make like a short snip here and a short snip here, and then I'll make this one a little longer. I make them like rather thick, maybe like 1.5 inches thick.
And the distance between the cuts?
Yes, the distance between the cuts. And the other tricky part is just keeping in track how many slits you're making, because you want to have the same number so that you can tie them together. This is another 1.5 inches.
That one's a little bigger?
I tend to do that just because I think it looks better, because then you have like this group here and then this group here will be easier to tie together. So then when you do tie this together, you might have this little gather up here, but it's more subtle, I think. I'll make this one the same size. I'll just go ahead and cut this one more. Same over here. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4. So 2 over here. And one more. Here's the easier part. That part, just getting the size of all the cuts, is kind of difficult to do. Then you take the top two and you just tie it in a knot, but you might need to double knot it. So the first one's hardest to do because you got two really short ties. So that one might be the harder one, and then the second one should be easier because they're long, there's more ties. But this way I'll try it on. I think this is the back.
As if it makes much difference.
As if it makes much difference. Well, because I cut the collars on the front, that mine's a little snuggle. Maybe that's just because I got this dress on. It will stretch out a little bit too. It'll stretch out a little bit. So.
Ta-da! 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 Looks great.
wish I didn't here.
Yay! Woo! Great. It looks great.